So if you're working with a family constellations um, session, can you give us an example of one that you've done? How you brought in people from the audience to serve as surrogate family members? How does it work? If someone was curious about family constellation therapy.
Another really big question. There's two forms. There's the private and there's the group form. In a group form, you're essentially sitting a client next to you and asking, what is it you would like to change for the better? And maybe let me just see, I think I can show you another picture here. Yeah, I can. 1 second and we'll, here. Okay, so constellations have group and private forms. The private form looks like sand tray therapy. Is that term familiar to you? Or?
Yes.
Okay. And the group form looks like slow, largely silent psychodrama, unscripted. So this is a picture, a model of a constellation. Again, how deep do you want to go? How fast? These are people standing around, and so this is a person from a circle of people in a workshop who is representing a grandfather. No, this is the father, and this represents the client. The client sits there and picks. You say to the client, please pick someone to represent your father. Pick someone to represent the problem. Pick someone to represent your mom, or whatever you think is relevant. And what you're doing is you're building on the floor an image of the family system. And in patient, careful way, people will, you could call it channeling, I don't know what, they will start picking up and responding in ways that tell you what's going on in that system. And as you start to see what's blocking, right, then you go to your midwife routine and you start trying to, speak the secrets of the system, because there's stuff that's dividing people. There's stuff that they can't talk about or haven't talked about that is dismembering this family. I hope I'm making some kind of sense.
Yes.
In this case, what this is showing is, so this is I can tell you this story. I don't know how much time we've got. This is an example I used called Terrible Migraines Fade. And if anybody wants to go to tinyurl.com/constellation3D, you can see a 15-minute video that actually develops this constellation. But we've got a guy named Don, and he's got really bad migraines that come in the fall. And we asked some questions about his birth family, and that seems to be okay. So we go back to the grandparents and his father's father and mother. The older brother of the father fell through a stair railing at 4 years old, hit his head on the floor, got a concussion, and died, never regained consciousness. Now, if Grandma and Grandpa and Dad, as the second brother, had mourned this, do you understand me? Had gone through a grief process and dealt with this in their lives, that's one thing. But what happened was, well, the stair railing needed fixing and Grandpa was slow fixing it, so Grandma blamed him for not fixing the stair railing. Then Grandpa turned around and blamed Grandma for not watching the oldest child of 4 years old. So instead of processing this trauma, they got bitter. They shut down towards one another. The whole family went into a kind of traumatized state. And now we have a grandchild who's feeling the damage, who's feeling for the whole family this head trauma. Am I making sense?
So literally he has head pain just like the 4-year-old did.
Just like my feet that I was carrying for my dad.
Yeah.
The 4-year-old died.
Yeah.
The 4-year-old was killed.
But it had to do with his head.
Yeah, that's the lead. That's the thing that makes us, see if this works. See if this. All of this comes down to, does it heal or not? All right. Yeah. It's not whether it's all pretty and dramatic or not. It's whether it makes people better. But right now, what you see here is a picture of. Well, I don't have that in this group of slides. Wait, no. Here we go. Oh yeah. Here's the beginning of this constellation. So this is the client. It's a representative for the client. The client is still sitting next to me. This is the lost uncle who's had his untimely death, is represented by him laying down. This is grandma, grandpa, and dad. So you notice that the only one, and this is an arbitrary, intuitive setup. Do you understand me?
Yes.
The client who placed these people didn't think about this, didn't have any idea what the heck was going on. He just stuck them out there. And pretty soon they're feeling stuff. So the only one here who's looking at the uncle is Don. His brother's not. His grandma and grandpa have their backs to one another, and they are turned away from here. So we have a picture here of a disjointed family. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And we have at least a test here, at least an idea that probably it's Don who's doing the grieving, or Don's body, without him being conscious of why. That the social empathy system in Don's body has picked up all the grief and pain that these people suppressed, and it's manifesting as migraine. So our job here in this particular constellation is to see if we can't midwife a situation in which grandma and grandpa kind of are willing to forgive one another, turn around, look at their son, do you understand me, and take back, because he's experiencing in his body the fate of these people. And I think this is a picture of what it would look like if it worked. That grandma and grandpa would be reconciled, dad. So this family now looks like it's dealing with what happened to it. Making sense?
Yeah. So the slide says, "Thank you for carrying this, but it's our fate, not yours. Leave it now with us." And grandma and grandpa are together. Everybody's looking at the 4-year-old, so they're not turned away from each other anymore.
Yes. Now that happened over a series of steps. It's not just like, you can't just say, okay, you guys turn around and do this. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
It started by going to grandpa and saying, you got a grandson here who's suffering intensely. Could you even look at him? Could you look at him? He's right down there by your son that you lost. Is that what you want? And then go away and leave him alone a while and see what he does. And in fact, the people, I don't know how to explain this. Do you understand me? It's just like it's a psychic phenomenon. The people start resonating to the truth of the family system. If you do this carefully, well, and with respect, they will resonate to the truths in the family system. And as you get a picture of what's going on, you can try to nudge midwife and help them to clear things up, so that the people that are mourning for the lost child are the people who experienced the lost child, not a grandson who never even, who knows about this in a superficial way, but never even considered that he's got anything to do with it. I hope that makes some sense.
Absolutely.